Ko te katoa, ko te mahi tōtahi māku ki te whakawhetai atu ki tō te matanu te rangi. Ko ia te timatanga me te whakamutunga o ngā mā katoa mai arangi nui tātika papa tuanuku. Ki ngā mate maha ko wheturangi tia haere, 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 hoki atu ki te kainga tūturu mo tātou te tangata. Apiti hono tātai hono, te honga mate ki te honga mate, apiti hono tātai hono, te honga ora ki te honga ora. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ngā kaimahi I roto I te wānui a tirua, ngā mihi nui, ngā mihi amaha kia koutou. Kia Michelle, Pam, koutou ko Peter, ko koutou ngā kai hautu o te waka nei, he mihi aroha kia koutou hoki, he rawe te kaupapa nei. Ki ngā kai kōrero, kua kōrero hia I tēnei rā, ngā mihi nui kia koutou, ko ki taku mātauranga mo te kaitakisanga I roto I te wānui a tirua. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. So, kia ora everybody, I'm Robin and I'm from the Kawerau Maki, and I just said hi to everybody and said thank you all Festival for hanging around for my kōrero. I think lots of you just did it because you like me and you don't want me to be standing here in the hall talking to myself. And I think the other half are waiting to get my email address so you can make contact with me next week. I also acknowledged Michelle and Peter and Pam for running a wonderful kaupapa and for having great organisation for today. And I also acknowledged all of the people who have spoken before me. I have learnt so much today, and it's been great. So I'm already like taking up 5 minutes of my kōrero, so I'll probably get a yellow flag before I even get into the kaupapa. But anyway, my kōrero today, and I need to thank the ICT team, who's actually Michelle's son, and also wanted to thank the people who have fed us so well today. And there's little like takeaway packs, so I'll see you after my kōrero. Okay, let's get into it. So my kōrero this afternoon, thanks to my wonderful niece who threw me in it a couple of weeks ago, is entitled Our Lost Taonga, Species of the Past. But before I get into that, I guess I should just quickly let you know a little bit about ko Waiahau. So, I te taha o tōku māma, ko Waiawa me pawaringa ngā awa, ko MakiOur me ongaro ngā maunga, ko Omaru Mutu me taiao ngā marae, ko mā tātua me māmari ngā waka, ko whakatōhia me te rāroa te iwi. So my mum, that's my mum's whakapapa, she's from up in Pawaringa and also from down in Opotiki. I te taha o tōku pāpa, on dad's side, ko Waitākere, ko Pakitōtara te maunga, ko Tainui te waka, ko Rakataura te tohunga, ko te au o te whenua te tangata, ko te Kawerau Maki te iwi. So I get my te Kawerau Maki whakapapa from my dad, who's the handsome man in the middle of that whānau on the right. Okay, so as I was saying before, when Josie threw me into this speaking position about Lost Taonga, I looked at the program and I thought, wow, there's so much knowledge in that room and there's so much knowledge being shared on that day. And I thought, what is my point of difference? What can I even bring to this, to the kōrero today? And so I thought, well, obviously it has to be Indigenous knowledge. And then I thought about this whakatauki. E koe koe te tui, e kite kite te kākā, e kuku te kereru. So the tui chatters, the parrot gabbles and the wood pigeon coos, but basically what that means is it takes a village. It takes a whole bunch of different people, different attitudes, different whakaaro to build a truly diverse community. So before I get into a little bit of my the main body of my kōrero, I didn't know the audience that I was talking to today either, and I'm going to be using some kupu Māori, some Māori words when throughout my discussion. So I thought I'd just give you a quick Te Reo Māori 101 session and just explain some of the words that I'm going to be using today. So the first one is Taonga. So from the Māori dictionary, that's what it means. It means property, goods, possessions, efforts, objects. But actually, taonga basically means anything that is precious to you. So we can have a taonga species, so a species that is precious to you. Your grandchildren can be your taonga. Your pounamu can be your taonga. Your dog, because obviously we don't have cats anymore, can be your taonga. But taonga is anything that is precious to you. And also, we need to remember that something that I consider a taonga, somebody else it may not be a taonga for them. So in my kōrero, taonga means something precious. A kaitiaki, and a few people have used that word today. And I know in Edward's kōrero, over at the community house, he talked about kaitiaki. And basically, a kaitiaki is a steward, a guardian, somebody who looks after something. So a kaitiaki of the whenua is somebody who looks after the land. You can be a kaitiaki of people. So if you're a caregiver, you can be a kaitiaki of pretty much anything. Because a kaitiaki is a person that tiakis. So tiaki means to care. So a kaitiaki is a carer, somebody who looks after something. Whenua is land. Whenua can be the land that we're standing on right now. Whenua can be the Auckland region. Whenua can be our country, Aotearoa. Whenua can be the Te Ao, the world. So whenua is about land. And it's really interesting because in Te Ao Māori, whenua also means the placenta, so the afterbirth of a child. So that's a genuine connection that Māori have to whenua. We, as mums, we connect to our babies, that's their life force, and that's called whenua. So as Māori, that is the genuine connection that we have to the land. Mana whenua. Often we hear the word mana whenua and te Kawerau Maki, they're the mana whenua of the area. But I've also been asked, what does mana whenua mean? Mana whenua basically means that we, Ed said it really well today. He says we don't have power over the land, but we're part of the land. And then in this definition it says, tribal land. The tribe's history and legends are based in the lands they have occupied over generations, and the land provides the sustenance for the people. So even being in this place in Titirangi, the name Titirangi was given by a tupuna from Te Kawerau Maki. So Te Kawerau Maki are mana whenua of this space. So we're the local iwi. And I think And whakatauki, so a whakatauki is a proverb, like the bit and read at the top. And it sort of goes, so I want to just go back to my lens at the beginning and my point of difference, because I wanted to link species of the past to whakatauki to give you just some examples of how Māori connected and still connect to the whenua and the species in the area. I had all these notes and I didn't even look at them, so now I'm lost. I just make up stuff. Actually, there were two more words that I thought about today that we mentioned, and one of them was mauri. And sometimes we talk about the mauri of a place and the mauri of a species. And when I was talking to one of my friends a few weeks ago, and I was trying to explain to her what mauri was, she was like, but it's in the, and like I couldn't figure out how to explain it. So what I said was, and in the end she got it, because mauri is in the whenua, it is in the land, it is in the trees. And the way that I helped her remember it was like, so you mow the lawns, because the mauri is already there. And the lawns keep growing and you mow some more, but the mauri is always there and it's always growing. And that helped her to remember what mauri means. the only thing is, every time she says Māori, she goes like this. I'm like, no, just don't do that, just Māori. Okay, so yeah, so Māori is the spirit that's already in nature. Wairua is what we bring to it. That's a different kōrero. And there was, one more word, and that was manaakitanga. We talk about manaakitanga as in, manaakitanga means to care for things, or to care for people. So if you go to marae and they feed you really well, that means they're showing great manaakitanga. If we break up the word manaakitanga, it means to aki, and aki means to encourage, improve and lift, and mana, so manaki actually means to lift the mana, manaki. So once again, going back to the marae example, if you go to a marae and you feed your manuhiri really well, like has happened today, you lift the mana of the people who eat, because it's like, oh my gosh, you're so important to me, I'm going to feed you so well, so I'm lifting your mana. In doing that, you lift the mana of your marae, so of this place today. So when we leave here, ko ki tātou puku, so our tongues are really full, so it also lifts the mana of, PS3 Waitākere, who organised this event for us today. So manaakitanga means to aki the mana, but don't do that when you're talking. It's just how you remember it. Anyway, so when I was thinking about what lost Taonga I was going to talk about today, and I knew I only had like 20 minutes or so, I chose 3. And the first one I chose was the huia. Actually, the huia's been extinct since about the early 20th century. But I chose to talk about the huia because of the spiritual and physical connection it has to Māori. So obviously the huia was black, and it had, the white tips on its tail, and that's what Māori chiefs used to wear in their hair as a sign of a high-ranking chief. So this guy here, this is King Tawhiao. His name is actually Tawhiao Matutaira Potato Te Whirowhiro. He was the second Māori king. And as you can see in his picture, he has a huia feather to signal, just to show his level of prestige and his level of chieftainship. So that was one reason why I chose the huia. And then this here, this is called a waka huia. Waka doesn't always mean boat, by the way. A waka huia is a container where huia feathers were kept. And the story goes that, in this photo, that's in the photo where the huia are, that's a photo of a male and a female huia. And the story goes that once upon a time, not once upon a time, but anyway, back in the day, a chief was talking, met a female huia, and her beak was straight at the time. And he said to her, can I have some of your feathers to put in my, to adorn myself? And the female huia said, oh, well, of course, I'll come back whenever you're ready, and you can take some more and it'll be fine. Anyway, the female huia came to the chief one day and her feathers were ruffled, so they went straight, and he was like, oh, I can't wear them like that. Obviously that's not what he said actually, but you get the idea. And he said, but they're ruffled. And he was like, okay. So he did a powerful karakia and made her beak curved. So when she goes to sit on her nest, she can reach around, flick her tail up, take a seat, and keep her huia feathers nice and straight. So that's the kōrero from Māori, being able to say which one's which, and also just the reverence that Māori have with huia. The other reason why I chose, actually, there's a whakataiki. Huia tangata kotahi. Porua whakapai tangata. Huia, your destiny is to bring everyone together, while yours, albatross, is but to adorn. The other reason why I chose Huia is because of Huia, the place. Huia, the place, was actually named after a Waikato chief called Te Huia, and he would live on the northern shores of the Manukau Harbour. But over time, he decided to stay there because he liked it so much. And the name of the place Huia was actually called Te Rau o Te Huia. So rau means feathers, so Te Rau o Te Huia means the feather of Te Huia. So the reason why he gave that name, obviously because his name's Te Huia, but also to acknowledge the just the beautifulness, the just how proud he was of that space. So it's called Te Rau o Te Huia. Now it's called Huia or Little Huia, but you know, if you're ever out and you just want to drop the name Te Rau o Te Huia, that's what it is. Yeah, really interesting actually. So carbon dating of shell middens that were found down at Hinge Bay showed that occupancy of hui by Tāmaki Māori, by Māori and Tāmaki, that they carbon dated from at least 1520. So been around for a little while. Okay, next species is the kākahi, which is a freshwater mussel. This is not extinct, so these are still around, but they are not as prolific as they used to be. Kākahi, also known as kaiō and torewai, a native species of freshwater mussels found all throughout Aotearoa. Kākahi are bioindicators in freshwater environments, so they're really important for the water quality. And juvenile kākahi live within the sediment bed of streams, and they can stay there for, you know, like up to 5 years before they come out, and they only come out or they only emerge when the quality of the water is pristine enough for them to spawn, make more mussels. I'm not a scientist, but you know what I mean. And because young kākahi, they need a healthy environment to live in. So they are actually a really good indicator of water quality. They are found all throughout the country, and there are 3 different species. I mean, they're found all throughout the country, but they used to be, and they actually still are, in West Auckland. We've actually found some in Oratia. I'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, historically highly valued and culturally iconic. So they were like the coda, the freshwater crayfish. But like I said, we've found some in Oratia. And so our colleague Ed and our other colleague Tyler, they've signed up to do some freshwater research, and basically what they're doing is they're looking for kākahi. Indicators show that there used to be some, so that basically they're going to go out and have a look, and they're going to be looking with some scientists, so we'll keep you updated on that one. But how exciting would that be? So here's a whakatauki about the kākahi. Tāne roa kākahi aitia te ure, tāne moe whare kurua te takataka. If a man dredges mussels, love him well. If he sleeps at home, bang his head. I will let you think about that one yourselves. Okay, so I'm nearly done actually. The te titi, the mutton bird. So once again, this is another species. This is not extinct either. But the number of TT that used to be out west has declined quite significantly. I don't have a lot of information to share about the TT, but I'm going to play you a video of my father. And for those of you who got to have lunch down at the community centre this afternoon, Dad was there. Some people call him Uncle George, some people call him Papa George, Some people just call him Grandpa. I just call him Dad. But so Dad is 84, and he was brought up out at Te Henga until he was, actually when he was about 7 or 8, the Ministry of Education came and found him and his parents, and he was trundled off to school out in South Auckland. But this is a video and a story of his kōrero, because this kōrero isn't really about the... I'll just play it. I hope the sound works.
When we would go as a family down to Te Henga to collect seafood, shellfish, things like that. And we would go out to an island, Ihomana, and of course around there you would walk around the edge of the island, look down into the water, and everywhere you see is taua, crayfish, just plentiful. And it was so easy to get it. And we would get our quota, and I can remember my dad, he would say that you only get enough for a meal. If you want some more, you could always go back. Now, unfortunately, we can't get to the proper place where I used to get the birds from. The holes in the rocks here that you see, that's where the mutton birds used to live in those holes. You couldn't get to it by water or by land. The only way you can get to it is coming from the top. This is what we had to use instead of rope. If you couldn't get any rope, this is very, very strong. It's a silver jack. What you do with this is you make it like a harness, like that, and you have this strung here, and this is where your kete or your kit basket would hang on this here. So you collect your bracken fern like this, all right? And then you hold it up like this, and you come down the cliff face, you find the hole, you take it out of your basket, you put it into the hole, and then you let it go like that. The bird gets caught in it. Once the bird gets caught in it, you fold it back like this, you roll it, then you know that the bird is tangled, you give it a pull, and you know you've got the bird attached to the fern. You bring your fern out, you put it in your basket, you move to the next hole and collect your titi or your mutton birds. So I'll show you how I made a horse out of my superjack. So you would make it into a nest, shape of an S, and at the end of them you would tie a flax at the end, and you would tie two. One goes to the back, to the tail part, and this here goes over like this, like that, and that goes down like that, that comes up like this, and this is tied around like this. It is, you get the picture? You get the picture? And you pull it tight, Rob? Now, that's supposed to be a tail. Is that a tail of a horse? Right? There's my horse. You see what I mean? See, the kids will love this. When we would go as a family down to Te Henga.
Yeah. That bit was too cute, I just couldn't cut it out. I just couldn't. But yeah, interesting in that when Dad is talking...
When we would go as a family...
But that's enough. When Dad was talking about how he was lowered down from the cliff. Actually, I don't want that one yet. When he was lowered down from the cliff, he was 7. He was 7 at the time. So, just like I said, the titi, the mutton bird is still around, but stories like that was a taonga. Anyway, 24 minutes. I've come to the end of my kōrero, and it's quite fitting actually. This morning, Peter, when you welcomed everybody and welcomed me and welcome the team, you actually said this. You said the titi is calling, the kaka is calling, and I call too. Behold, there is life. Except you said it riro te reo Māori. Ka tangi te titi, ka tangi te kaka, ka tangi hoki hau. Te hei mauriora.